What is going on, everybody? You guys all ready for some quality leering? I'm a big fan of quality leering. Like it's just amazing. big fan uh of leering, you know. You guys know that. Big fan of that. And the quality leering is really the best stuff. Got a couple topics for you today. Big fan. And then we've got New Year's Eve festivities, which I will largely not be participating in, but I do feel like I've turned a corner. I'm feeling a little bit better today, mostly because I got kind of a full night's sleep last night for the first time in all week. Feels like my voice is coming back a little bit. So that's good. What do you guys got going on? What do you guys got going on for New Year's? Anybody traveling? Yeah, your voice sounds almost normal today. Yeah, it's a little nasally, but it's kind of back to, you know, some level of normalcy. D&D New Year session, nice. That should be fun. That should be fun. Leering is on the menu. Yeah, that's good. The Leering convention. Yeah, you are in the right place for that. Absolutely, positively. Yeah, I'm live a little early because I don't think Devori is live today. I never get his name right. I don't do that. I'm not like doing that like passive aggressive thing where I get the name wrong on purpose. Is it Devori Darkins? Darkins? I don't know. The guy that is usually live before me. Let's see here. It's playing now. Okay. Do. Charity work, nice. Working today. Hope I get to leave early. Yeah, I'm working today too. It's not Darkins, is it Dawkins? Whatever. The guy that's live before me. I never met him. Right. Doobie-doobie-doo. Now we got some issues. Now we got some issues, boys. We got some issues. Let's talk about them. The rats are fleeing the sinking ship in Minnesota as Tim Walz has now been called to testify and Republicans are moving in. Now, I hear you. The tribe of nothing ever happens. In fact, I'm curious about joining. I've been completely basically run into submission, just like many of you, where nothing's happening. Sorry, a phone call snuck through there. Potential spam, of course. The spam calls, like, holy moly, leave a like on the video if you're getting more spam calls than ever lately. Like, I can't with these spam calls. It's insane. But anyway, they are now faking break-ins, getting their cash out of these buildings, and squirming and freaking out. Here we have manager at Minnesota Childcare reports break-in and, quote, missing important documentation. But Minneapolis police say nothing at all was stolen. Initial reports from management at Minneapolis Child Care Center suggest that, quote, sensitive documents, including payroll and client files, were stolen during an overnight break-in. Oh. What a unlucky thing to happen. That's so unlucky. Just when they were about to get audited, all of their well-kept records got stolen. Well, golly gee, we're in a real stinker now, guys. Ooh. Just when all of the federal fraud was moving in, they had all their documents stolen. By the way, what was inside this wall was cash. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. That's what was in the wall right here, is cash. They had cash in the walls. They put it in this concrete to keep rats out of it. That's what was in this wall, in my opinion. I don't know, but I know. They had cash stashed in the walls and they took it out. That's what happened. That's what happened. Then you had this 10 masked Somalis come out of the Quality Learning Center at Minneapolis at 10:30 p.m. 10:30 at night. What are they doing?
About 10:15 out here outside the Quality Learning Center on a Tuesday night. Got 10 Somalis out here trying to fix their misspelled street name. We'll see how much success they have there. You got this guy back here who's going to continue pacing around. He's already got several photos of my license plate.
Okay.
I don't know what he's going to do with that. But
later.
They didn't quite finish the job changing out the sign. Guess I interrupted there. Because I'm in a public parking lot here. I'm not on their property. Hey man, do you want to have a chat? No. Okay, no. I was just saying you were taking pictures of me, so I was just...
Yeah, you were taking pictures of me.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I'm glad you're finally changing the sign. You're going to change it to actually what it's spelled as. You want to say your name?
No, they don't want... They just want to intimidate. What are the odds? God, officer... Man, I was gonna have all the documentation, but the darndest thing just happened. Oh, by the way, what's happening now is, interestingly enough, more white liberal female judges. So we've now found that this is basically a Somali scam that extends to every state possible. Washington, Ohio have also been implicated. So to get out in front of this, in response to massive daycare fraud being exposed by independent journalists using state websites, the Washington State Senator, Lisa Wellman, has pre-filed legislation to hide information about daycares and their operations from the public. I wonder why. The rats are scurrying. It's like you go into the hood and you have, like, you turn the lights on and you see all the rats running every possible direction. By the way, all childcare payments to Minnesota have now been frozen. The federal government has ceased all childcare payments to Minnesota amid the Democratic state's ongoing daycare fraud scandal. This is what I talked about yesterday. The Trump administration should be freezing every federal dollar, not just daycare. The federal government has ceased all child care payments to Minnesota. Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services, Jim O'Neill, announced on Thursday that funding has been frozen and demanded that Governor Tim Walz audit the centers allegedly involved. We've turned off the money spigot and we are fighting the fraud, O'Neill declared in a statement. This move from the administration for children and families, the HHS division that oversees childcare, comes after independent journalist Nick Shirley shared footage of apparently empty Minnesota daycare. You have probably read the serious allegations that the state of Minnesota has funneled millions of taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares across Minnesota over the past decade, O'Neill wrote. O'Neill said that he has activated the spend defend system for all ACF payments, meaning that all payments going forward across the country will require proof and reasoning before the money is allocated. By the way, that should be every payment for everything, right? This on top of hundreds of agents now on the ground.
As we speak, our Homeland Security investigators, hundreds are on the ground. They're knocking doors. They're going to local businesses. They're going to these sites where we believe that there is rampant fraud, whether it be daycare centers, healthcare centers, or other organizations that take taxpayer dollars. Our Homeland Security investigators on the ground are also seeing that these suspected perpetrators are really trying to cover their tracks. They're trying to whitewash the operational facts on the ground, purporting to be a legitimate business, have legitimate business operations, when it's all a fugazi. So we're going to continue to ask those questions. We're learning more and more, especially with the FBI and our DOJ partners on the ground.
Uh-oh.
Well, a lot of this comes through Health and Human Services. And look, I understand that the assistant, whatever title he was, said, oh, they're taking immediate action. But
okay.
To be honest with you, Tricia, this has been going on for years. To say they've taken immediate action, that probably should have happened a year ago. This doesn't flow through Homeland Security. It flows through Health and Human Services. But ultimately, it is the responsibility of the governor and the state of Minnesota. But to say they took immediate actions, with all due respect, these reports go back almost 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is, by the way, we can also go here to Cam Higbee, who has uncovered fraud in Washington from Dagash Childcare, has received over $200,000 just this year. People living at the address claim it has never been a daycare ever.
My decoy went up and she could hear people rustling around on the other side of the ring camera as if they were listening to her but not responding.
Kristen Magnuson and I also went to this house right after you guys to see if we get the same response, and we sort of did. We saw the same thing, the windows with vinyl covering, can't see inside. We ring the doorbell, but actually somebody responds to us.
Oh.
Hey, is this Dagash Family Childcare?
No.
No.
It's not Dagash Family Childcare.
No.
Okay, what's the name of the childcare here?
I don't know.
I ask, has this place ever been a childcare? The woman says no. But obviously Washington state records tell a completely different story.
Yeah, this specific address is locked into Washington state records as a daycare.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's locked into like the Google page for the business.
Yep.
Is this address. Right?
And it's up to date with licensing. The numbers here.
Okay, so we just visited Dagash Family Childcare. This address was
I love this.
confirmed online. They get $23,260 in October.
They have made $210,000 just this year.
And how many kids again is this place registered for?
Oh, that's the fun part. 3.
3 kids.
3 kids.
So this place.
So the state is giving them $70,000 a kid. $70,000 a kid. What an idiot. I'm sick with the flu, working on New Year's Eve because, well, I need to earn money to pay for my staff when I could have just opened up a daycare and defrauded the American people. I mean, this is so crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. And then they also had are the walls closing in? I understand people saying, well, nothing ever happens. I understand that. I understand people saying that. But now Tim Walz has been called to testify. I wanted to find the post, but X is acting up for me. This is part of the problem when you have when you record live. But let's see, Tim Walz, okay. Yeah, nothing. Well, let's see if I can pull up the article here this way. But he has now been called to testify. Walz on the frozen federal child care payments. This is Trump's long game. I mean, are they really going to go with the blaming Trump? Are they really going to, is that really what they think that's going to happen? Do they think the American people are going to say, oh yeah, this is definitely Trump's doing? I know that there are some idiots who believe that, but this has been an issue for a very, very long time. This has been an issue for a very long time. Now, the Oversight Committee is set to speak with Minnesota Representative Walz and Ellison invited to testify. Now, will they show up? I don't know. Probably no. Probably not. On January 7th, 2026, so that's in 8 days, the committee will hear from 3 Minnesota representatives who have sounded the alarm on an investigative fraud in Minnesota social services program. The 3 testifying will be Representative Kristen Robbins, Representative Walter Hudson, and Marion Rarick. Sorry. Additionally, Chairman James Cormer has invited Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison to come, but they won't. They won't go. All of these little rats are going to scatter. They'll get a couple of little levelers, but I'm hopeful that we see a press here, that we see an actual, some actual arrests happening. Certainly all these daycares should be shut down, and all of these, people should be in prison for fraud. But we're talking about, we should be expanding this to every single state in the country. Every single state in the country should be immediately having to provide a deep level of information around all of these foreign businesses. We talk about, I've got a story I'm working on for probably Friday. There is, you think it's just Somalis. Indian registered companies in the state of Illinois have received 42% of all small business loans, equaling $5 million each, amounting to a total of $85 million. Indians make up just 2% of the entire population of Illinois, but they've received 42% of all small business loans. It's absolutely wild. This is a major problem, and they're going to need to get it fixed. By the way, I think someone super chatted using Bitcoin, using Rumble Wallet. So shout out to Ori and B, who sent some Bitcoin using Rumble Wallet, which you can use to tip creators now. You can tip using crypto. I don't know all the cryptos you can use, but I don't know how many dollars that is. 0.000002 Bitcoin, but that's my first Bitcoin. So thank you. We were with Jeremy. I'm watching a hit piece on you. The craziest thing is your attire in those old computer repair videos. I can't imagine giving a fuck about, that stuff. It's actually wild. You're working sick New Year's Eve. You madman, happy New Year's Eve to you and your family. Thank you, Paracleric. I wasn't shitting on you, Robot, but hey, Jared, have you watched a documentary on you? It's very well researched and edited. Oh, I'm sure this is definitely not a troll comment trying to get retards to watch some hit piece. The thing is, what's funny is like the only thing the left has is like a 30-year-old video where I'm telling this. So I'm telling the story about how I worked at a computer repair facility, and we saw like C-scam, like child predation videos or pictures on a computer, and we called the cops. That's like the story time, right? So that's the whole story. I'm talking about, hey, we found these type of videos and we called the police. So, hey, by the way, when you take your computer in for repair, just know, hey, don't be a moron. Like, essentially, I was not trying to tell child predators to clean their computers for getting repaired. It was like, hey, people, look at this stuff. Totally normal thing. But the left uses this clip and says, he's telling pedophiles how to get away with being pedophiles. And like literally nobody that's actually watched the clip gets that from it. It's just completely made up. So that's the best they got on me. And, that's pretty good. I've been online for 20 years and that's the best you got is me telling a story time about how, hey, people who are repairing a computer can see those, that you download a bunch of porn. Like that's not really the own people think it is. General Kyle says, Jeremy, the only dude who streams during the holidays while the grifters take a month off. while the rest of us got to work. I appreciate you giving us Wagey something to listen to while we're. Hey, I'm still a Wagey myself, you know. But appreciate that. Oh, it's about 20 cents. Well, it's only Bitcoin I own, so thanks for the 20 cents. Probably not a coincidence that the fraud is being uncovered at a massive scale and spam calls are increasing. Yeah, right, Dingus Khan? It's probably definitely all related, you know. If I don't work and you guys don't super chat me, how are you going to pay for these Somalis? How will you pay for all these Somalis? I have all these Somali dependents that I have to pay for, and if I don't work on New Year's sick with the flu, then who's going to? I had this other stuff I wanted to talk about here too. Oh yeah, shout out to Morgan and Morgan real quick.
If you're in an accident or injured in any way, you should know how to protect your rights. That's why I'm so glad to have this video sponsor Morgan and Morgan. When you're seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions of dollars. Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers. Just in the past couple of months, Morgan & Morgan saw verdicts of $12 million in Florida, 34 times the highest insurance offer, $26 million in Philadelphia, 40 times the highest insurance offer, and $6.8 million in New York, 25 times the highest insurance offer. Their fee is absolutely free unless you win. Fighting big companies takes a big law firm. As America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan are ready to take on insurance companies of all sizes. Morgan & Morgan has modernized the injury law process so you can submit a claim and communicate with your legal team all from your smartphone. And remember, size matters. Morgan & Morgan is big. They're America's largest injury law firm. That means they have the resources to fight to get you the best results, and they're capable of spending millions on a case to see it through. Did you know you can start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just one click? It's so easy. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/quartering or click the link in the description down below. All right, so I've got this other topic. So there's a story about a former Nickelodeon actor from, I guess, a show called Ned Declassified. I didn't have cable when I was a kid, so I don't know. I don't have any affinities for any Nickelodeon shows. I never saw Ren and Stimpy, whatever. Like, we didn't have cable. But the story around it, I think, kind of hits home with me, and it's worth talking about because essentially it's yet another childhood star who ends up on the streets with an addiction problem. That story in and of itself is not exactly that interesting to me because we know that Hollywood is full of predators and bad things happen to child actors there. And we know that that is probably never going to change. What's interesting about this guy is that influencers have started to, they're like vultures. They're going and they're like pretending to care about this guy and take selfies with him and give him money for drugs when he doesn't actually want to get clean. And it's really a sad state because the people who are, I've really struggled over the past, because this story's been kind of smoldering for like a week now. And it's been very weird to see, it's been very weird to see, people, you want to think they have good intentions, but I just don't think that ultimately this is a good thing for this guy. And it's unfortunate. So essentially this guy, was Tyler Chase. He was on Ned Declassified. Various influencers have been going up and like putting him up in hotels and all this kind of stuff. And yes, they're recording it for content. So I think a lot of people's initial reactions are like,
gross, you're like, you know, you're kind of like vulturing him, and we don't like it, you know, and you're using it for content. But then there's that other side, in my opinion, where it's like, well, if he gets clean, it feels like a win-win. If you have a problem with like people putting him up in a hotel, then you probably have a problem with shows like Intervention or, you know, these other shows. There's always a fine line to walk when you are creating content around somebody's addiction problems. Now, Tyler Chase, a former Nickelodeon star who has been experiencing homelessness and drug addiction, was the subject of a series of viral videos that have sparked widespread concern for Chase, and his former co-stars have tried to rally to help him. Now, every time something like this happens, I think the internet automatically assumes that nobody's tried to help this guy over the past 20 years, when that's almost certainly not the case. It's almost certainly the case of many, many people who, you know, have tried to help him. His family, I'm sure, has tried to help him. However, police have said due to California laws, law enforcement cannot do anything to help him, with a spokesperson for the Riverside Police Department telling TMZ, well, we just can't kidnap the guy. Following this, Newsweek spoke to Riverside Police Chief Larry Gonzalez over email. What we're seeing play out with Tyler is unfortunately something we see every day. It's not just in Riverside, but across California. From the videos circulating online, it's clear he is struggling with substance abuse and untreated mental illness. The challenge is that our current mental health system is largely built around personal choice. Even when somebody is clearly in crisis, they must voluntarily accept services unless very specific legal thresholds are met. And this is obviously one of the tricky parts of addiction. We live in a free country, and therefore you should be able to be free to be a drug addict, as long as you aren't robbing other people, beating up other people, causing harm to other people. You should be free to overdose if that's what you want to do. I know that's like an uncomfortable thing, but we don't live in a nanny state. And the libertarian in me is like, look, if you want to do heroin and OD on that, then you should be allowed to do that. You know, it's not the state's job to say you shouldn't be able to do any drugs. You know, this guy in particular is only getting special attention because he's a former Nickelodeon childhood actor, but there are hundreds of addicts to the left and right of him who have the same thing, the same issue. It's like, are we just trying to save a drug addict simply because he was famous 20 years ago? You know, that's kind of the truth. And even people who are actually trying to help him are coming out and saying, like, can you guys stop?
Tyler's privacy, and I'm a comedian. These are not the kind of clicks I want. Having said that, people are demanding an update on Tyler Chase.
This is Sean Weiss. He was from Mighty Ducks, and I guess he's been trying to get him clean for a while. He's basically saying, like, you guys aren't helping, you know, going and giving him money for drugs to take selfies with him and, you know, create content using him. It's not helping.
Here's the update. We're having a really hard time. Tyler has to want to go to treatment. All the resources are available to him. And it's very frustrating because there's no system in place to help people like this. And our only option now is to what? Watch him wither away on the street?
Yes, actually, that's the truth. I'm not saying that, like, I get that it's kind of ice cold to say that. But why should this guy get special treatment just because he's on a TV show 20 years ago? Certainly there are probably people that want treatment that can't afford it, or there are people that want treatment that, you know, they definitely need it. And why should this guy be special? I agree with that.
Jake, who everyone knows, has made it his life's purpose to watch over Tyler, to make sure nothing happens to him on the street. He's been out there for the last week, keeping an eye on him. He contacted a mental health crisis team, which is a resource available out in California. They did an evaluation on Tyler. They agreed that he needed help. They took him away in an ambulance where he was supposed to be kept for a few days sort of a Baker Act situation. They did not keep him. They released him in the middle of the night. Jake went and found him. It was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and called the mental health crisis team again. They came out and did another evaluation, and despite the condition that Tyler was in, they left him on the street. So we don't really know what to do. I'll tell you what's not helpful is the people that want to go and see him to get a selfie for their Instagram and giving him money.
Yes.
That's working against us. From what I hear from Jake, when he got out of the hospital, he was fairly lucid. He was very receptive to treatment. Then he met up with some people, took some pictures, and long story short, when Tyler's using, he's not receptive. So
that
please,
makes sense. Yeah.
if you could refrain from doing that, I get it. People are weird. It's not helping.
Yeah, I mean,
he needs a little space right now, and we don't know what to do. I'll be out in California next week. I'll be able to help Jake keep an eye on him, but we need some help. We need some help from the county of Riverside.
The thing is, you can't force somebody. You can't force somebody into treatment. That's not how it works. And when people are creating all sorts of content around it, right? Like creating a spectacle of it, all you're really doing is giving a drug addict more money. You know, you're giving him more money and more access that you just, I don't think that really bodes well. That doesn't really help an addict. If anybody who's actually gone through knowing somebody in their family or somebody they love or care about, and you know that they've dealt with addiction, you know that really giving them money is, you might think, oh my God, that, you know, they're not going to use it for this, or they're going to. I had this guy who I really thought I was helping out. I gave him odd jobs around my house, paid him money. He was just using the money to buy coke. He told me he drove all the way to a rehab facility, took a selfie because he asked me for money to go to rehab. He drove to rehab, took a picture of himself in front of rehab, and then went and bought coke with the money. There just is not. Once you've been burned by, I mean, look, and it takes people a long time. Like it takes families a long time to kind of figure this out too. And it took a long time for me to figure it out. But like when you're giving these people access to money or other things like that, you are not helping them. You're literally making their problem much, much worse. You know, just much, much worse. And it sucks because you don't want to, I mean, you want to like have some level of compassion, and you want to be like, well, I don't really want, you know, I don't want them to go hungry. But they would rather do the drug than, you know, go to rehab. They would rather starve but be high than not be high. This is how this stuff works out. And it's unfortunate. But when this guy can get all the McDonald's he wants, to take selfies, and, you know, he's just 36. I mean, he went to rehab and then he smoked meth in rehab, or like in between rehabs. I mean, the guy can get high, he can get his McDonald's, he can do, I mean, he's got no incentive to get better. Do I think the people that are creating this content around him are evil? It's hard to say. You have a lot of people saying, oh, he's on a medical hold, he's clean, he's detoxed. No, he wasn't, Ollie. He never was clean and detoxed. So this guy with all these tattoos, like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this for content. He never got clean. He never got right. And TMZ, you know, like, just let him be a dope fiend. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, they have to want to help themselves first. I hope this guy gets help, but he's no different than any other drug addict to me. And yeah, I wish there were more systems in place, but at the end of the day, you got to want to get better. And people orbiting him and giving him money and enabling his drug use is not helping him. So, you know, I wish him the best, just like I would anybody else. But, you know, giving him money is not helping him. Poor tradesman for 20 says, for the coffee, I mean Somalis. Happy New Year, Jeremy and Chad. Hey, thank you, bud. Yeah, that Rumble Wall thing is pretty cool. So shout out to that. So now you can tip creators using crypto. That's very cool. Lucky Nate says, these people who get brought in by a crisis team, they come to the ER, but then they leave because people have free will and they want to go do drugs. They don't want help. They want dope. Exactly. I know it's ice cold, but like, if you've never dealt with an addict, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But sadly, most of us have dealt with somebody who is an addict, and there just is no. That's just the way it is. They don't want help. They want to get high. They don't want help. They want to get high. That's what it is. And until such a point in which, you know, they want to get clean, you're just helping them get high. You're just enabling their next, you know, their next, whatever, you know, their next high. That's what you're, I want to get this here. Yeah. I want to talk about Candyland here. They want their next score. Yeah. Sorry, my voice is rapidly, you know, let's see here. Your views are crashing. I have 8,500 viewers on a holiday in a time slot when I don't normally view, or I don't normally stream. This is a great stream. On a day I don't normally stream, and a time I don't normally stream. 8,500 live viewers. It's very good. More than that, actually. 500, over 9,000. We're over 9,000. Jeremy did trash the hotel Amfest. I did not. Don't talk to me? Okay, well then, I don't want to see your messages. How about that? Happy New Year, yeah. I didn't get to watch, but we had a half day at work today. I saw you online. Glad you're here. Yeah, I'm glad to have you. All right, I've got this. All right, so I've got a video, a segment for my personal channel, the Jeremy Hambly channel. I don't know if you have come across it or if you're just seeing it and you think you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed. The Jeremy Hambly channel. It's on Rumble. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. And I try to upload daily there too. And they're a little more unfiltered. They're a little more uncensored. And I cover a wide variety of things. I covered a guy, a fake rapture guy yesterday. So it's a little hit and miss, but this one obviously is most people will probably be more interested in. Candace Owens is now in the industry in the industry of beard investigating, and as a beard owner, possessor, wearer, I felt like I could lend my expertise. Now, I think that Candace Owens is very entertaining, and there's no denying she has a massive audience, much larger than me. Her audience will always be larger than mine. She's very, very good at what she does. And I also don't fault people for tuning in. The only people that, like, if you're just a casual viewer, you're like, hey, this is interesting, or hey, it's worth asking questions, I think that's totally good. If you're a part of like the 1 or 2% of her audience that is like obsessed, you know, calling the prosecutor, you know, calling the defense attorneys of Tyler Robinson, thinking you have some great news, harassing some dad about, you know, Candace Owens makes some insane claim. So now he has to provide like home security footage to prove he didn't assassinate Charlie Kirk. She's absolutely evaporating what little credibility she has left now. And a lot of people are jumping ship. And all she had to do was really say, hey, this Fort Huachuca thing didn't really pan out. Instead, she's doubling, tripling, quadrupling down and looking like an absolute clown show. So what Candace Owens likes to do is pretend that she never did that thing that she definitely did. She's very, very bad at that because the internet's forever. There's many, many compilations of her doing a thing and then 3 days later saying, oh, I never did that thing. And here she says, well, Cabot Phillips posted a photo on the evening of September 4th that he had completely shaved off his beard and indicated it would take 3 weeks to grow back. How did it grow back in less than 4 days by the 8th and then look like it was mid-growth on the 10th? I'm assuming the 8th was a pre-recorded video, which is why he could not be in studio in Nashville. So in her own wild accusation, she provides the kernel of truth that everybody knew from Jump Street, that he had pre-recorded the video. Everybody knows that the discrepancy was, of course, because he pre-recorded the video. But that would not stop Candace Owens from, adding fuel to the flame of moron Liz Wheeler saying, whoa, pretty glaring inaccuracy here. Just a quick glance at the Daily Wire content shows Cabot Phillips present on the Morning Wire on 9/4/98/9/10. But look at his beard. It's different. Everybody in the world, by the way, except for me, apparently, pre-records their content for the holidays. But here's Candace Owens saying, oh my God, totally agree. While I was never fully committing myself to rely on Mitch's memory, the frankly bizarre misinformation campaign, which now includes his ex-girlfriend's estranged sons and periodic emotional breakdowns from Alex Jones, Brian Harpole ignored my texts. The way the Candace Owens intelligence agency or lack of intelligence agency works is they make a wild accusation and then you have to disprove it. That's not the way our justice system works, but that's the way the Candace Owens lack of intelligence agency works. She gets to say, hey, here's some poor guy who just had a kid. What does he know about Charlie Kirk's assassination? Right? What does he know? He knows something. Without even realizing it, Liz Wheeler just made the Cabot Phillips piece even more compelling. Well, yeah, the guy pre-recorded some content, definitely murdered Charlie Kirk. Definitely murdered Charlie Kirk. Definitely was involved in the cover-up. Right? Definitely. And the 1% of her fans are like, well, she never accused him of anything. Then why on earth would he have to do this? Now he's like, no, I was not at Fort Huachuca on 9/8 or 9/9, and I've never been. I was home in Nashville both days. On the afternoon of the 8th, I attended an ultrasound with my pregnant wife and stopped to get balloons for a gender reveal with our son that evening. If it's a boy, if anyone was wondering. The following morning, I was at work as usual. Here are the photos and surveillance footage that prove my whereabouts. Now, by the way, he didn't have to do this. So they forced this guy over the holidays to essentially prove his innocence because Candace Owens' psychotic break has gone on 5 months now and she's running out of red yarn. And then she says, Candace was given the original photo and metadata she asked for an hour ago. And shoot, why is this guy... they basically bullied this poor guy into having to prove his innocence when there was absolutely no evidence that he did anything wrong. And then, of course, like this is the way it works because this is how they generate content. Candace Owens or her goons, her lieutenants, make a wild accusation with no evidence. Then they hound you and harass you until you respond, thus giving them more content. So you're essentially damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. This is why like Turning Point USA didn't want to respond to her. Because even when you respond, this is how her idiot psycho hardcores respond. Well, that's not evidence enough. That's clearly photoshopped. And here's Candace Owens being like, look I can Photoshop my image. Like this, again, if you look at this guy's response, he didn't have to provide any of this. But then you have all sorts of people in the replies being like, well, here's Diligent Denizen, one of the biggest morons around, being like, oh, you can adjust the metadata. Yeah, that's a feature on all iPhones, you fucking idiot. All right, you fucking moron. But they do this thing where they're like, what does adjust mean? Question mark emoji. All these tweets are female coded too, because the only people that are dumb enough to fall for this are perpetually at home, unemployed housewives. That's who's watching this shit. Okay. Like Denizen knows that this is a feature on all iPhones, but instead he does the emoji. That's curious. Essentially implying that he edited his metadata. That's really what he's doing there, right? So they make up a claim. They demand you clear your name for a claim that they have no evidence of. And if you don't give them what they demand, they make content and say that you look guilty. And when you do give them what they're asking for, they say you faked it. So it's this loop, this circular logic of idiots and dumb bitches, and the men and women involved in this, that's how all of the content is generated. You get that, right? Hey, one last thing. Could you provide the discrepancy in your facial hair? Oh my God, the magazines say August. Yeah, because these people never leave their homes, they don't know that old magazines sit on checkout shelves all the time. Old magazines sit in checkout aisles all the time, but they're like, ooh, look at this. This says it's only supposed to be, this says September 1st. It was supposed to be off by then. I'm going to go on Reddit and figure this out. Instead of going out to your local Walmart and seeing they have magazines that are months out of date sitting in their checkouts. Can you make this media downloadable so I can check your metadata? It says random internet fucktard. Like these people, you are in a no-win scenario engaging with them. The only win is pointing and laughing at them. Now, maybe, no, they don't. Magazines get removed. Wrong. I worked at Walmart. Our magazine guy wouldn't show up for months. Did you work at Walmart? Do you work at grocery stores? I guarantee you I could go to Walmart right now and find magazines that were supposed to be removed months ago. But I guess some Redditor, terminally online Redditor, knows better than someone who's worked retail basically his whole life. Like the level of, because there's a lot of people like this Diligent Denizen moron who's built he built his following on being mega, and then he was this, now he's this. He or she doesn't actually have any real beliefs. They are so pot committed now. They're so pot committed in this lie that they just can't say, hey, maybe this one thing. Maybe I was wrong about this one thing. Maybe I was wrong about this one thing. And, and like the thing is, Candace Owens was probably asking good questions 3 months ago. Like Candace Owens was probably asking good questions. Like, what does adjust mean? Instead of Googling it, I'm just going to imply you faked this photo. 1,000 people fall for it. Like the whole thing is ridiculous. And like this Fort Huachuca thing is going to, that's the end of it. Update. Cabot Phillips responded to my text to clarify matters. We weren't imagining things. His beard didn't magically grow overnight, as some suggested. You mean you implied, again, heavily? He pre-recorded the segment. Yeah, everybody fucking knew that, you idiot. Everybody knew that. But yeah, he either pre-recorded a holiday episode to be with his pregnant wife. That's one option. Or he was at a military base and involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk. Which one do you think is more likely? This is the level of like absolute brain rot that Candace Owens has turned into now. here's leftism saying, so in other words, you were wrong, push lies and platform a liar. On top of that, you have the audacity to make it out as if he owed you some sort of response. He owed you absolutely nothing, yet despite the lies you push about him, was nice enough to send you a response. I mean, if you look at all these replies, people are turning on her now. There was some point where maybe she was asking good questions, but now it's just, I mean, she's overplayed her hand, and she really should have just said, I was wrong about Fort Huachuca and go back. That's what I suspect she's going to do in the new year. She's going to say, well, Fort Huachuca was a government op, a Mossad op, but now here's this new string of yarn. I mean, the whole thing has become a train wreck, but it is absolutely fun to point and laugh at. That's fun for me. By the way, with that, I'm going to rest my voice for the rest of New Year's Eve day here. For anybody who is traveling today or going out or whatever the case may be, please do be safe today, okay? If you're going to drink, get an Uber. If you're gonna, those against Candace have been proven to be Mossad. Oh, really? Ken Rose for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. I'm against Candace. Am I Mossad? I think Candace is an actual retard. Can you prove I got any money from Israel? I mean, people claim on X I did. Here, I'm on record. Candace Owens is a retard liar who doesn't actually give a shit about the damage she's causing. And I'm saying that on my own free will. Feel free to make any connection between me and Israel that you can. You think I'd be wearing a 4-year-old hoodie if I had that sweet, sweet Jew money? If I had that sweet, sweet Jew money, you think I'd be working on fucking New Year's Eve, sick as a dog? A lot of them turn out to be against her. I mean, I don't follow people who are against her or for her. I just follow my own opinion. And I would say, can you prove give me a content creator that you say is against her, like Tim Pool, and then tell me and show me and prove to me he's Mossad. Can I borrow some of that Jew money? Just as soon as I get that sweet Jew money, I'll give it to you. I'll share it with you. From Zordos for the Somali tax fund. Thank you. They paid him in pastrami. I feel like I would get I don't know if I've ever actually even had pastrami before. It's like summer sausage, right? Is it like that? Hey, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, citizen. Can you slide me some of that sweet Jew money? Dude, bros, I promise you, when my Jew money train comes in, when the Jew money train comes in, I will spread the wealth. I give you my word. By the way, if you're on Rumble and you're seeing me on the homepage right now, please click through on my name, The Quartering, and click that follow button. I'm live Monday through Friday at 2 Eastern, 1 Eastern on Fridays, Monday through Thursday at 2 Eastern. And I have co-hosts, and it's a little more formal show, but I'm just kind of doing a holiday show to try and, grow my viewership. And so if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Rumble or wherever you're watching, please follow. It's free. Giordani says, I was being facetious. Happy New Year, Jeremy. Oh, okay. D-Day for the Mossad Fund. Thank you. Pastrami is like pepperoni. Okay. I've probably had it on like some meat platter, Yeah. Little different taste, but basically the same. So you just, like pastrami, you make it on a sandwich. Pastrami sandwich, I imagine, yeah? Your live events with the gang together were great. Can you plan more in-person streams with the whole team? Well, yeah, I mean, if I could get them all to travel out here, something like that. financially, putting up everyone in hotels is very, very, very expensive. Patriot Paladin says, I want for $10, I want you money too. Hook a homie up. Happy New Year to you and Mrs. Quartering. Thank you. Yeah, we've got dinner reservations tonight, and probably that's, probably about all we're going to do today. I feel like I've turned the corner on this flu, so I don't want to overdo it. And I don't want to get other people sick either. You know what I mean? Pastrami on rye is the bomb. Okay. Well, once I get my sense of taste back, I'll try it. When is Dan coming back? I don't know. Has he said he's coming back? I feel like it's natural that he would. But maybe not. Maybe the guy wants to take some time off. I hope he comes back because, he had like 200,000 live viewers when he was live. And we definitely had, we were in like the 20 to 30,000 viewers when we were doing our show when he was here. So selfishly, it's just be great for Rumble for him to come back. That doesn't mean he will. Yeah, I think he owns a bunch of Rumble stock though, so it'd probably be good for him to come back. Peppered corned beef is pastrami. Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for the meat education. I am leering a lot here. Rye bread sucks. I like rye bread. I think it's one of those things that you start to like more as you get older. Because my dad always used to eat beefsteak, and I was like, it tastes like shit. All right, so and then now that I'm older, I actually like it. Is that maybe it's just an older thing? Well, beefsteak, I think, is the brand, right? I think beefsteak was the brand. I always remember there's like seeds in it. And I was like, Pastrami on pumpernickel. I don't think I've ever had pumpernickel. What about a cannibal sandwich? I've never had that. Proof Corner took the Jew money. Wait, but what's the proof? Oh, message redacted by Mossad. Yeah, I'm getting hungry too. I'm gonna go eat. All right, guys. I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna rest tomorrow, and I hope you guys all have a safe, good night. And we're gonna come back Friday, light show, and then we're gonna be full bore on Monday, regular show, full show again. So make sure you follow if you're on Rumble. Click through to the quartering, click the little green follow button, and we'll be live at 2 Eastern on Monday. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful New Year's and a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll